Hello, welcome to Inspirational Life. I am Beverly Holloway, your inspirational life guru. And for those of you that don't know, I am a healing arts practitioner and spiritual coach on a mission to inspire as many people as I possibly can towards discovering their divine purpose. And so, in this video today, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 steps to discovering your divine purpose. I want to start out with my why. Now, this is the reason why I do what I do. I would say that my why actually started at the age of 26 after having a near death experience. After this experience, I began to have a thirsting and a hungering to know more about God and what my actual purpose was here in the earth. So that hungering and thirsting actually it triggered a journey in my life. And I'm so excited that you and I have crossed paths along this part of my journey. As a result of that hungering and thirsting, I left my hometown in Dayton, Ohio, and actually moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. I actually lived there for 20 years prior to moving to Arizona, where I am now. Now, during that time in North Carolina, I did leave for 2 years and went to Bible college in Oklahoma and actually graduated with a teaching certificate. And that's when I actually began to realize that that was a part of my divine purpose. And so after that, after graduating, I moved back to North Carolina and actually started a church with my ex-husband. I was the prayer director for our ministry there. I taught on the subject of prayer for 10 years. I traveled, I conducted prayer seminars, and I'm telling you, it was so wonderful to finally discover what my actual niche was, as you call it. And so that is my why. And as a result of that, it just gave me even more of a desire to actually want to share with others what God had done in my life, and actually to help inspire other people. Because over the course of my life, I have met so many people that are unsure of what their purpose is. So perhaps that's you. Perhaps you're unsure of your purpose. You may even be a business owner already, and you're experiencing a little bit of lack of momentum. And so hopefully these steps will inspire you and get you jump started towards a life of divine living. So the number one step in discovering your divine purpose is to first of all acknowledge your source in prayer. Prayer is so important. During my time of teaching on the subject of prayer, in our prayer seminars, we had a saying, and that was that prayer is the track you run on. No prayer, no track. No track, you're stuck. A lot of times in life, you may find yourself, perhaps maybe God has given you a vision, and it may seem as though it's just impossible to obtain it. Or perhaps maybe you have done a few things that you consider to be good. And perhaps maybe there are other things that you see yourself doing, but for some reason, it's just playing a game of hide and seek. And so I don't believe that God is here to play games with us. But I believe that he wants to reveal exactly what his plan and purpose is for us here on the earth. And so staying connected to your divine source in prayer is so important, because that's where purpose begins. I love this scripture in the book of Colossians in chapter 1, and I'm going to read it to you. For everything, absolutely everything, above and below, invisible and invisible, everything got its start in him and finds its purpose in him. So if you're going to really accomplish something great, it doesn't start outside of God, but it starts with God. And so that's why acknowledging him in prayer is so important. I love this quote also by Thomas Carlyle that says, "The man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder, a nothing, a no man." Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to go through life feeling as though I'm a nobody. And so whenever I get disconnected from my source, I start feeling like I'm nothing. Nothing just doesn't, nothing seems to work when you don't stay connected to your divine source. And so I want to ask you today to really get honest with yourself. Ask yourself, am I feeling some type of disconnect? And if so, then I want to encourage you to get reconnected with your divine source. I want to ask you this. What is driving you? Is it your 9-to-5 job? Is it the fact that you have mouths to feed? You have children to take care of? Perhaps maybe it's a relationship. What is it that is driving you? It's so important for us to stop skirting around certain questions and really find the answers to what questions we have deep down in our heart. And so again, step number 1 is acknowledging your source in prayer. Now, I want to ask you this. Is your power disconnected? Sounds funny. I'm not trying to be funny, but is your power disconnected? Have things slowed down for you in your business? I want you to get honest with yourself and ask these questions and wait on the answers. And so moving on to step number 2. Step number 2 is meditation. Now, meditation does take discipline, but if you start with just 5-10 minutes a day and work your way up, I'm telling you, it will be worth it. Now, what I found as far as meditation goes, and that is, a lot of us are just like children on Sunday in church on Sunday morning. We don't know how to keep still, and we don't know how to keep our mouths shut. Meditation is not a time for you to be jibber-jabbing and spilling your guts and begging. And that's what happens a lot of times. You've already petitioned God in prayer. So meditation is not the time to continue to actually pour out your petitions, but it's a chance for you to give your divine source an opportunity to actually speak to you. It's a time of listening. It's a time of pondering. To me, it's like marinating something, just like you would on the grill. It's a time where you're marinating your purpose, those things that you've actually been talking to your divine about. You're just turning those things over and over, just meditating them. You may have to even write down the word purpose and actually set that as your intention during your time of meditation and just ponder that. Now, like I said, meditation, it takes a lot of discipline, but be creative during your time of meditation. You see, I have a candle in the background. I mean, light some candles, put on some soft meditation music. Really create a sacred space for you and God. Meditation is not a time for you and your children, you and your husband, you and your girlfriends. No, it's a special time that you allow for God to actually speak to you and give you direction concerning your divine purpose. Now, moving on to number 3. Step number 3 is to be open. Being open means that your mind is not closed off to things that perhaps maybe you're not quite sure of. I assure you, God's not going to lead you down a rabbit trail and cause you to just run into a whole life of catastrophes, okay? So be open to actually hearing from God. Now, there are some things that can actually cause you to be closed-minded. Pride is one of them. When we think that we know it all, we don't need any help from anyone else. We don't need any support. We don't need any coaching. We've got this. We can handle it on our own. Another thing that can keep us from actually being closed-minded is fear. Perhaps maybe things from your past, or perhaps maybe you are introverted and shy and you're afraid to actually get up and speak in front of people. These are things that can actually keep you closed-minded, because when the divine begins to speak about what his plan is for you and what your purpose is, it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. And so don't allow fear to cause your mind to be closed off to those opportunities. Bitterness, holding on to hurts and things from the past. Believe me, I was married for 13 years. I walked away with absolutely nothing but a ball of emotional, mental, spiritual abuse, you might as well say. And so there was a lot of healing that had to take place. But it's so important that you don't allow things from your past to cause you to become bitter when it comes to your divine purpose. And so make sure that you keep an open mind. Moving on to step number 4. Step number 4 in discovering your divine purpose is waiting. Make sure that you're waiting on your divine source, God, Goddess, whatever you want to call the universe, whatever your definition is of God. Make sure that you wait. During your time of waiting, there are going to be times when you're just going to want to take another trail. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of waiting where you're waiting 5, 6 years. Come on now. I've got a friend in North Carolina, bless his heart. He loves God. And when you start talking to him about purpose, he starts saying, well, I'm just waiting on God. Well, you've been waiting on God for about 15 years. I'm sorry. That's not the type of waiting I'm talking about. I'm talking about from the time you pray, you've allowed yourself to be open, and you're just waiting on God to speak. You're waiting on the next move. You're waiting on some type of nudge or hunch as far as what your next move should be. Now, during your time of waiting, there are things that you can actually do during your time of waiting. Listen to prayerful music. Listen to motivational audio books and CDs. Anything that's going to keep you in a positive place where you can actually hear. It may come through reading a book. It may come through a Facebook group, some motivational teaching that you find online. Find yourself some resources that are going to keep you in an attitude of expectancy. And so again, it's so important that when you're waiting, that you find things that you can do during that time, because there will be times where you'll be tempted. Things will come your way and it'll be easy for you to actually veer off and go in a different direction. Be patient, which leads me to my 5th step in discovering your divine purpose, which is my absolute favorite one. And that is follow your intuition. It's so important that you follow your intuition. Now, I'm going to read you the definition of intuition. Intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. It's a thing that one knows or considers likely from instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. How many times have you actually talked yourself out of something because you're trying to make sense in your mind? Intuition is a hunch. It's a feeling. It's a sense, a sneaky suspicion. It's a sense or a notion. I say all the time, my friends will tell you, I've got a sneaky suspicion that God is up to something. And normally he is. And so it's a hunch. And it's so important When you get that hunch, don't just sit on it. It's time for you to move in that direction. That's how God has led me all through my life. Leaving Ohio, moving to North Carolina, moving to Arizona. I was working a job that I really enjoyed in North Carolina, but I kept getting a sensing that it was time for me to uproot and relocate and begin my life again elsewhere. No, I wasn't running from any circumstances or situations. No, I wasn't running from my divorce, but I just really kept sensing that it was time for me to relocate. All of my coworkers thought I was absolutely out of my mind. Why on earth do you want to move to Arizona? There's nothing but dirt, heat, and snakes. Well, I am right where I am supposed to be, but it came as a result of following my intuition. I'm telling you, I was working a third shift position. In 4 o'clock in the morning, when I got home, I went online, applied for a job, and within 7 hours, I got a call. Needless to say, within 2 months, I was loading up my car and moving to Arizona. And I'm telling you, it was the best thing I could have ever done. So you can't reason yourself out of it. It may not make sense to you, all the details, but once you start stepping in direction towards that hunch, I'm telling you, doors of opportunity will open for you. So as a recap, again, the number 1 step is to acknowledge your source in prayer. Number 2 is meditation. Number 3 is to be open. Number 4 is to wait on instruction. And then number 5 is to follow your intuition. And so I hope these keys are things that you will begin to implement in your life. I want to hear testimonies. I want to get feedback, because I'm telling you, if you will follow these steps, you will begin to see divine connections and opportunities that will begin to open to you, and you will begin to experience God in an awesome way. And so for those of you that are watching this video, I'm going to offer this to you. I want you to book a free inspirational life session with me so that we can help get you started in the right direction. And so I'll be posting my link. You can also, if you're interested, you can actually schedule a 90-minute inspirational jumpstart session with me as well. During that 90 minutes, we are going to find out what your gifts, your talents are. We are going to find out what you are actually called to do and begin to set goals and to get you started in the right direction. So I want you to go ahead and schedule your free 30-minute inspirational life call with me. And I'm telling you, I want you to begin to pray. I want you to begin to meditate. I want you to be open. I want you to wait. And then I want you to begin following your intuition so that you can be on your way towards a life of divine living. Again, I want to thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.